Hey guys, welcome to another episode of my survival series. Today we are doing this area behind me. This is my farming district, and as you can see, it's looking pretty bare and all my animals are just out there chilling. But there's a reason for that. I wasn't vibing with it. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to keep the windmill still. It's just up there for now. But I really want to redo this whole area, get things sorted out and plotted where I want them to go. So I'm going to make a rough plan now. Okay, so I've kind of made a plan, which involved smoothing out this whole area, taking away the original windmill. The farms are still in there. They are underneath this dirt, I promise. Same with the ones that were under the silo around here. They're all underneath. I've just waste-done them instead, just to make my life a little bit easier. That's the entrance to the dog and cats. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that or if we're going to redo that at a later point in this video. Right now I'm just plotting for crop farms and the barn and the animals. Except for I didn't do that quite yet. I instead planned something else. I have come to my creative world to try and get some inspo for myself. So right now I'm just building up a little greenhouse which is gonna hold a bunch of flowers in and whatnot, and also just give it some world building elements. And I think I want to use copper just to give it the actual greenhouse look and have that with all the glass, which I think would look nice compared to if I was to use spruce. So I'm going to continue building this one and see where we get to. Plus it should fit in the farming district. I think I've made enough space for it. Okay, so far I have the entryway kind of done. Can't believe that's took me like 2 hours to do and replot everything else out because I did the measurements wrong. It wasn't all symmetrical the way I like things. And I've finished the bottom layer. I've kept it pretty simple. All of that's in. Now to do the rest. So I managed to get the top and add frog lights in because I just didn't like the look of lanterns but needed it to be lit up. Although I've forgotten about these. But I've added frog lights on and some leaves just randomly placed, as well as frog lights under moss so that we've got light around the actual area just in case. And then I've been working on the inside and plotting it out. I've only just started adding a couple of plants in. We do have the backkkkk nature mod installed, so I'm going to play around with that and see what we get to with all the plants. Okay, I'm still going. So we've got some potted plants, some little mushrooms up here, nothing in here yet. We've got cactuses up, got more potted plants. We've got this weeping willow that I made in the center of the room. I've got a bunch of plants around it just to add some color and vibrancy. We've got different sunflowers in. We've got a bunch of flowers around here with some water that I've not actually put anything in yet. We have some more planting bits that I haven't focused on, and then there's this area that I'm going to start putting in my decor bits. So we've got like a nature bench, a sprouting table, and some other bits I can probably put in for decor. It's finished. So this is the whole build. As you can see, it's like a big dome in the middle. It looks so cool. So as you come in, there's these little bushes, there's wellies and a step ladder. For some reason I just thought they looked cute. I've also hidden firefly bushes underneath things, and there's spore blossoms if you see particles, that's why. Around here some more bushes with our little water feature thing. This side has lots of flowers with another water feature. Around here we've got a planting area. So we've got things of soil, we've got the nature bench, we've got little seedling trays and watering cans and a water pump. We've got the sprouting table which you can come in and use. These are both functional. This is where you find all your plants and other things. And then I put down a wisteria petal carpet because I thought it looked a bit too empty, and I thought, what would go instead of an actual carpet? And I thought, yep, that will be perfect. And then upstairs we've just got the potted plant areas. It's the same on the other side. It's just got different potted plants and different mushrooms. And then I've just put cactus on each of these 4 corners. So that's the greenhouse done. It's more pretty than functional. It's just really for those 2 functional blocks. But also so our farming area has something extra. And I can always go in because it looks so pretty to just think about what I want to do with my world and what's going on with the vibe of things, because I like to keep things very whimsical, as you can tell, because if I'm given free rein, that's kind of the thing I'll do. So I think it helped a lot. I've had a bit of a mental block whilst doing this, I can't lie, and not knowing where to put things and what I want to do. So I'm gonna do a barn next on here, just so that I can plot down my ideas more. Then with maybe beehive, I'm not sure if I want to freeform them or not yet. And then we can pop in the actual crop fields. I think they can just go in spontaneously as long as there's a path they should fit. I'm back with my 2 schematics in. This one is a barn, this one is the greenhouse. I've also pathed out a bunch of areas so that we can add in fields, and then the dugout areas all across here are where my paths are going to be. So we've got pretty good plans so far. We've got the greenhouse with the crop side, then moving into the animals, which I think is pretty good, but we desperately need materials to build these. Okay, first step is to gather mud and moss, as we may as well gather moss whilst we're down here. I have between episodes made a couple of farms like I said I was going to about an episode ago, 2 episodes ago. Anyway, it's in here under a sneaky trapdoor. Welcome to my moss and mud farms. They look a little bit ugly, but it's fine. I've done my best. And then through here there's a little bit of storage, and I can get through here just in case I need to fix it. But all I have to do is AFK this, swap this out, and then just do a bunch of this on and off. So this is a little bit boring, a little bit loud, but we can cope. And I'm gonna do that for a little bit. And we're back. We got quite a bit of mud that I've just transferred over. And let's look at what we've got moss-wise. Oh, that's a lot of moss. I only spent about 5 minutes AFK, mind you. So that's pretty good. We do have composters underneath as well. So some of it does get composted and put back. So it's not all made into what we've got in storage either. So we get quite a bit, but that's good. So we've got moss with our pathways, with the frog lights. Let's go home. And then we can start turning our mud into mud brick and packed mud. So I've got some wheat that I got from our farms that are no longer there, and I'm just gonna go grab a crafting table because apparently I don't have one in my house, which is probably really silly of me, but it's okay. Or apparently not, there's a creeper. I don't think it saw me. Anyway, we're gonna combine our blocks to make packed mud, and then we can also make bricks. So I'm going to make quite a few of these. We do actually need to venture to the wood mill, but I need to go get my axe. Okay, we've made it. We definitely need oak for buttons. I want to know, do we have any in there? Oh, we have quite a bit. What's our leaves like, actually? Oh, we have quite a bit. Never mind, I don't need to use my axe today. Always good news. Grab a couple of this for some buttons for the pathways, and head on over to my resource chest that I've currently got. Here we are at the resource chest. I'm going to take out these blocks that we might need and get going. So all I do when I make paths is just pop in a random order. I don't tend to have a plan. I just sort of pop them in here and there and where I think might look nice. So I'm just gonna do that all along here. So like I was saying, I literally have no rhyme or reason for the way that I place things. I just go based off of what I think looks nice enough to me and what looks spaced out enough for the actual block palette. So I was just using a combination of packed mud, mud brick, coursed dirt with like the meadow flowers on top. I think they're called wildflowers. And some rooted dirt that I can get from azalea trees every so often. And then I also focused on putting our verdant frog lights in because they're green. I don't know why I seem to think that they look better on paths, but to me they do, with the moss carpet on top, so that we can get rid of all this torch spam. I'm not a fan of torch spam, but I just went around the pathways towards the barn and the greenhouse, going around all of our planned out crop patches. Okay, now the paths are in, I'm gonna sit here and frog light all of the outlines that I've made so that we can then put hedges on top for the fields. So I'm just using the frog lights that I've got from my frog light farm that we built last episode so that the area stays very, very, very lit, as you can tell, which is pretty good because then no mobs should spawn around here, which makes me really happy. To pre-warn you, buckle in, there's a lot of voiceover going to be happening right now. In this first one, I'm placing frog lights all around the areas and then putting over oak leaves to make hedges for them. So my idea was just to create a bunch of organic looking shapes for crop fields. So that's what I did, and proceeded to just fill them with trapdoors with water underneath and plant a bunch of things. So we do have the traditional Minecraft crops, like how we eat our carrots, our potatoes, etc. And then we have Farmer's Delight installed, which adds like onions, tomatoes, and cabbage, which is super exciting. So I added those into the fields. So by the end of it, we did end up with 9 full crop fields. That also includes melon and pumpkin, because I decided to have decorative fields. Next up, we have a barn build. I decided to do this before the greenhouse that we already planned out, just because I wanted to make sure it was in the right spot. Also because I had most of the materials that I needed. I had a lot of oak and spruce and dark oak hanging around. And also so that it would get me in the mood to build the greenhouse, because the greenhouse is quite big. And this one's a little bit smaller. It's got a few more details in, but overall the block palette's quite simple. So I decided to do this first. And normally in a barn you would store your cows and sheep and pigs, but I am not that traditional. I wanted to have my cows and sheep on display, so instead I'm using this for horses and donkeys, etc. But the only horse I have so far is Zorse, named by a viewer. My zombie horse that we found that got me killed by a creeper. And last but not least for now, a lot of copper placing. So after the barn, I was really inspired to get to build. So for this project, I needed 530 plus copper blocks. Just blocks, not including the stairs and slabs that would be needed for this. So I set out and mined a bunch of copper on a stream and then placed it in this field to oxidize. So that was the process of me placing it and a little bit of the oxidation process. Okay, so we have built up the barn behind me. I thought it would be best to start with this. The materials were easier to gather. I am just currently waiting on some copper, but a lot of it is oxidized, so I'm really pleased with that. So we just have to keep doing this a few times and we should eventually get there. It's just going to be a long process, which is perfectly fine. It's not the worst thing in the world. But now I've got to go and collect all of them up, make sure they're oxidized, dig them up, and then we'll cut them. Okay, so after my multiple copper rounds, I don't even want to talk about how many rounds I had to go through to oxidize this stuff. Crazy. We started to actually build the greenhouse, which you saw me build in the creative world before, and I showed you the inside. Again, it's just full of deco craft stuff. I really wanted some place to fit in the farm area, but also look really cute. And what better than to add a bunch of flowers in a greenhouse? Because I can just come in here and chill and get some nice inspo, look at some plants from deco craft that I could use, and just have a nice time in there. So I think it's a really cute build, and it fits really well with the scenery around it. And it didn't take that long to build with like Matica in the survival world, so that's always a plus too. So hopefully you all like the look of it as well. Okay, so there's been a bit of progress since we last did anything. I've added in a little tree over here just to blend things in, and added bone meal areas and a few firefly bushes for ambience. I've expanded some of the farms just a tiny bit so that we could actually like fill the space out and there wasn't just awkward gaps between the grass and the path. And then also made entrances into the farms at multiple places so that we weren't trampling crops, because I was tired of doing that. I've added in some decor bits like carts. There's one there and one there. The dog area I've turned into like a little farmer's house with decorative wheat fields, which is just chilling there. I've started to try and dig this area out to make a retaining wall. I just think it'll look a lot better if we have this retaining wall rather than the slope. And then I've got a schematic for a greenhouse that houses bees. So we're building that later. And I'm still trying to figure out what to do with all my animals over there. So I'm going to go back down my scaffolding and try and plot some bits out and then see how we get on. So I've just spent ages designing an animal pen, which is sat right there. It's just the cows for now. There's room for one down here now that I've dug some space. There's the flat area where the animals are, which we're going to pop down another 2. I'm going to show you the pen close up. I've also done the retaining walls. I think they look pretty good. There are signs on this moss, by the way. You just can't see them from this far away. The actual fencing is some stairs with fences on top, trapdoors, and then just logs with some slabs on it. The flooring's coarse dirt, podzol, and path, as well as a little bit of muddy mangrove roots mixed in. And then under these carpets are frog lights. And I made some custom trees for the first time. I'm super proud of them. I think they look cute. And I've just added in little hay bales. There's a little wooden bath from backkkkk, some grain feed, and all my cows are chilling in here. It took me a few hours to come up with this design. I spent ages cycling through fences, cycling through floor work, cycling through the lean-tos. So now I get to do that 3 more times. And you guys get to watch me do that. And by watch me do that 3 times over, I promise I don't mean cycling through options. I'm doing the same fence design, same floor design, same trees, same lean-tos. I promise everything's fine. It's just different shapes for the mobs. So I started with piling up our spruce, putting on our slabs, doing our upside down stairs, and then filling those with our stairs and trapdoor covers, making sure to leave some gaps for where the pathways will come in and the fence gates, so that we can actually have our chickens come in and out of it. And then I also added in frog lights, of course, making sure the whole area was lit up with the tool that I use to put the light levels on the floor, which is super handy when you're trying to do this kind of thing, because I want to have as much hidden lighting as possible. So I've been trying to work on that really, really hard. And then here you'll see me building one of the trees. It's like 11 blocks tall. They're not super duper tall. They're not super duper full of leaves either. I've kept them quite sparse and airy to kind of look like just little small trees you would find in a regular area. And then I swapped to doing the sheep pen and the pig pen as well. I do put the pathways in to those and putting the area out for them, just to make sure that I got both of them in and spaced out properly, and then I could actually start working on them. So I have the sheep pen first, doing it the flooring and the lean-tos and the detailing and making sure everything was in. But I don't have the footage for the pig pen. The only thing different about the pig pen is I added in a spot of mud, which is just extra muddy mangrove roots and some mud with some podzol to space out on the outside. And then that is the only difference. Other than that, it's the exact same as the rest, but that is the end of the pen. Okay, so I've just spent the last hour and a half of my life adding in more trees. A lot more trees. They're the ones in the animal pastures that you've seen me build a few of. I've added in a couple more willow trees. They're still kind of having the vines grown. And if we nip across, I can show you some other trees. I've also planted a bunch of firefly bushes just to add some magicalness at night. So I've added a couple of these like twiggy trees, more willow trees around here. There's some on the bottom, but they're all twig sort of looking ones. There's a couple up there. I added in a windmill, which is really small compared to the last one as well. It was just feeling really empty on that back level and didn't quite feel right to me, so there's like a little secret path down here that you can come up through and we can go up to my windmill. In here there's a dispenser. It's an automatic one, it just clicks as soon as you switch this off, which if you put anything in here basically you destroy it, so the other barrels aren't really connected, thankfully. And there's a couple of composters in here, and that was pretty much it. It's the same concept as my other one, kind of. And then speaking of environmental stuff, if I come through here next to the farmer's area, I've done a lot of bone mealing, so sorry about all the long grass. I've added in like a grain silo, so it's just decor, completely decorative. There's nothing up there at all. It's all frog lighted. So that's pretty much what I've done so far. Trees, a couple of little builds, lots of bone meal. But I spent a good hour and a half on just trees. So I think I'm going to move on to something else that's not trees anymore. And I think we'll start the bee area off so that we can actually get that done, built in, and then get the bees moved, because believe it or not, there are bees up there that have a campfire under and I haven't moved them yet, but I need to go collect my sword and stuff from the chest over here because I was building. I haven't really had them on me. Right, let's go get some materials for that and then we can get on to building. I'm actually looking forward to it. So the only footage I have of me gathering materials for this is getting a bunch of oak trees down, which I mostly just needed for the leaves, which I didn't remember until like the third tree in and went, oh yeah, no, I need leaves for the builds. So that was the only time I seemed to actually pick up on it. But for some odd reason I didn't like flash back the other trees or the stone, which is kind of annoying. But we have some material gatherings, so I suppose that's still pretty good for me. I'm always forgetting to record these sections, and I promise I will get better at recording material gathering for you guys so you can see the whole process through, which I'm planning on doing for the next episode. I will show you the whole process, I promise. But here is our final exterior build for this project. I love this little bee house greenhouse. I honestly think it's the cutest thing like ever that I've built. It so much reminds me of like a little glass jar, but not in a sense. It's like a mini version of the other greenhouse, but different colours. I wanted it to match more with the barn, but also have the vibes of the greenhouse. So that's why I've chosen to do it in wood. And I experimented with a lot of pink on the inside. I don't tend to use pink, but I just really felt like pink. So that's what I went with. And honestly, I think it came out so cute. And I was super duper excited to put my bees in here. So honestly, 10 out of 10. So I may have forgotten to do the bees till after the outro, so ignore the days counter. I got too busy with the next project that will come after that because I was too busy listening to Hayley Williams' album Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party. I have also come down here to get Silk Touch on a diamond pick this time. I'm also going to get Cheap Infinity from this guy. There we go. There we go. We have Silk Touch pick. The reason I wanted this is because I have 2 beehives up here, but I have little campfires underneath them, so they shouldn't get angry at me when I remove them. So there's one there and there's one over here. So I'm just going to hang around, wait until nightfall until these little bees pathfind back, and then I can take them, and that's one of the bees going. So I'm going to take these with my silk touch, and then we can take them home, and then I'm going to go place them over there. Luckily, the majority of my path is lit up. It's just this area that I'm a bit nervous about, because I always fear there's going to be a creeper that will come up and sneak behind me, and then I'll be very sad. So I'm gonna quickly sleep before we get there so that I don't have to worry about mobs come morning time. Okie dokie, we can go across straight through my bridge. There is a long way. I haven't made a short way, but I can just hop myself down. And in here, I'll pop them down and then remove the hive again. And then once it's out, we'll break it and repeat. Also, the iron farm's been doing really well, so I've just bred a couple with the poppy. I just want to make sure there's at least one in every hive, so I'm just waiting for some of the bees to come out so I can breed them again. Like this, they've all started coming out again, which means I get more babies. I think this is enough bees at the moment. They're all just getting pollen from these. I don't think they can actually get pollen from the DeckoCraft, it's just decorative, so I'm just gonna leave them to it and chill in here. Here's where I'll get honey if I ever need honey, and beeswax, which is a lot easier than moving all the way up to the ones up there. So if you can see over there, I've moved my dogs across the bank. It was the only way I could find a place to get them to sit because I bone mealed everywhere. But we got a few things I've gathered. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing. I just want to match this. In here, all the cats have been taken out too. So this is going to be ripped out and made entirely different because I don't have a need for so much of the things that I had in here. But I would still like to keep the dogs, if that makes sense. Also, nobody panic, the armadillo is in the barn. I would like to change it so it matches the outside to the inside, and like I said, I don't need this much copper in here. I've got so much oxidized copper just sitting in here, and I would probably use them in other projects rather than interiors now. But also I kind of want to change up the dog beds. I just want to do something different, but also because we moved the cats out, I want to redo this space just so that it is a little bit better. So I'm gonna go to replay mode and rip this whole thing out. And so I did, in fact, rip it all out again whilst listening to Hayley Williams' album, specifically True Believer and, of all things, Discovery Channel. I was at the end section of the playlist, so you know, fun times to rip it out to You and Me, Baby Ain't Nothing But Mammals. Let's do it like we do on the Discovery Channel. So, you know, great vibes. But like I said, I did want to redo the space. I wanted to make it much smaller than it is now. I just feel like it's taking up so much space, and I don't come in here often. It's literally just like a display for the dogs. So I just thought I would get rid of it all. Plus the copper walls were not my vibe anymore, and I could use them on more projects. Realistically, I could have used it on the greenhouse, but didn't think that far ahead. So I've ripped out all of the walls and all of the walls down here. I've left the flooring in just in case. Same with this area. I think I'm going to make an entrance. Okay, so I'm back. I made a little kitchen where I can pop in some spare crops if I've run out of room in my other kitchen at home, which is handy. I've also just got a little crafting table in. Oh, this is really nice. Sorry, I have the light levels on to check. In here, I've just added in some bales of things for decor. And then I've started in here because I really wanted to get the dimensions correct. So I've managed to patch in a few bits here and there, and then slim down the dog beds a lot so we can fit them in nicer. And I've added in lots of light sources. So I'm gonna finish it off with you guys. So the idea is that they're gonna have the dog beds here. We've got every colour of the rainbow. There we go. We got stuff for the walls. I've just got some more brick and terracotta chilling here. All I've been doing really is just randomly placing them. There's not really a method to it. Should have brought in my pickaxe. There we go, the walls are in. The dog beds are in. We've got a little bit of decor. Now all that's left to do is to bring them in, honestly. So I've brought my tools back out just in case, because I've been working on this during the nights. So you never know what mobs are lurking around still. But I need to get all the dogs standing. I think that could be all of them. We'll see. Oh my gosh. The sound of them all shaking their fur. Okay, let me close this door. This is going to be a little bit hectic, but it's fine. What I'm going to do is sit them all down the best I can. Now, why do you want to make it awkward for me? Okay, last dog is stood up somewhere. There. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is find both sets of red and hopefully get them to walk towards me enough so that I can pop them in their bed. Same process. Yellow. Now orange. Now we need lime green. Now we need the forest greens. Cyans are up next. Blue, pink, and finally our purple wolves. Okay, now it's less overwhelming to look at, for one, but two, I just think it's a lot nicer that it's smaller and I don't have all the cats and dogs in the same place. It's loud enough as it is, honestly, because all of the different dog noises. Here we are with them all in the one spot. Well, I think that's it for today. We've done a whole farming district area. It's been a lot. I've tried to show as much as possible. The only bits I didn't show were random projects that I got sidetracked with and forgot to press record. So we did a whole greenhouse that we got DecoCraft nature stuff in, which has now got a tree next to it. We redid all the farming areas and added enough farming delight food as well. We've got a windmill that destroys items. We've got our barn, which houses Zos, the zombie horse, and our two barn dogs, Doug and Jesse. And then if we slowly make our way over here, we can get more of a view. We have our little bee greenhouse that now houses bees. We've got our little farmer's hobbit hole, which houses all our dogs, and our new little silo for decor. We've got lots of new custom trees that I've somehow learnt to build, which I think look okay. And our pastures for all our animals over here. The before and after is actually insane when you look at this. It was a massive undertaking. It's taken me nearly 3 weeks to just build and design and get right for you guys. So hopefully you all enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to leave a like on the video. If you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe. But that's it from me, and I will see you in the next video.